Now, in this program for years, we have documented night after night how much of the media is just simply an extension of the Democratic Party. They are one team coordinating the same political messages, manufactured crisis. They even use the same words, an echo chamber, repeat the same talking points. And tonight, it is on display more than ever after the leak of a recent New York Times employee town hall to Slate, where the paper's leadership, they came clean about how anti-Trump their agenda really is. All this breathless hysteria and all that they preview, all the conspiracy theories they push, all fake news narratives are up next. Because like I've said, journalism has been dead and buried since 2007. I said it on this program. Their credibility is in crisis. They don't really have any credibility. And especially after 2.5 years, all the major networks, 2 cable networks, New York Times, Washington Post, yeah, they went with the biggest lying conspiracy theory hoax in modern political history. And they never admitted they're wrong. And even the Times is now admitting that they went all in on the collusion delusion, with an executive editor, Dean Baquet, telling employees that once the Russia hoax unraveled, the story became, quote, trickier, before adding, quote, we built our newsroom to cover one story, and we did it truly well. No, they didn't. Nah, they were proven wrong. They were disappointed by Mueller. Now we have to regroup, shift resources and emphasis to take on a different story. Oh, what does that mean, a different story? It means they spent years pushing their conspiracy theories, their Russian lies, misinformation, propaganda, all to help the Democrats, and they failed miserably with their lies and conspiracy theories. Now they have to find a new fake news story narrative to try and continue to bludgeon the president. They're no better than, these angry, agenda-driven keyboard warriors on social media in their basements, wearing their underwear, spewing their hate online all day, every day. Well, the New York Times is no better. This is the new extreme radical press in America. Hate Trump every second, every minute, every hour of every day, which apparently will now be retreating to the old Democratic talking point. They want to now go through and basically tattoo on Donald Trump. He's a racist, racist, racist. I guess because Stormy, impeachment, impeachment, collusion, Russia failed. Because at the same event, you had one New York Times staffer say, quote, these conversations about what is racist, what isn't racist, I just feel like racism is in everything. Why don't you call out the Democratic Party then, before adding, it's less about the individual instances of racism and sort of how we're thinking about racism and white supremacy as the foundation of all of our systems in the country. To which the executive editor, the New York Times, responded, that race is going to be a, quote, huge part of the American story in the next year, in, quote, terms of not only African Americans and their relationship with Donald Trump, but Latinos and immigration. Of course, this just confirms everything we have been telling you about the corrupt media mob, the anti-Trump conspiracy theory media, their desire to paint all Republicans, all conservatives, racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic. They want dirty air, water, kill children, throw granny over the cliff after you feed her for a year with dog food or cat food. It's not every 2 years or 4 years anymore. This unhinged lie, it is a slander against conservatism. I'm a conservative. I find all racism, anti-Semitism repugnant. Have they called out a lot of the Democratic Party's history? We've given the history on this show, and I'll do it again to remind them maybe tomorrow night. But this is all they do. And the Democrats and, of course, their friends in the media, they all work in concert with one another. Because beyond Russia, the lie, they never admitted they were wrong, never admitted they lied. Are they ever going to return those Pulitzer Prizes? I doubt it. They're also spinning now in another direction, and they're telling us ahead of time. Listen to their new talking points about an economic recession. That's another thing. Talk down the economy. Watch.
Put it into perspective. Is the president right when he says a recession's not on the way?
He is not right, but a recession is okay. A recession is a normal part of economic activity.
President Trump is attempting to downplay growing concerns that the U.S. economy could be headed for a recession.
This morning, recession and re-election. President Trump insisting he has no concerns about the economy after that 800-point plunge.
Josh, isn't the Fed cutting rates now just going to make the next economic downturn worse? What's your prediction? I've been hoping for a recession. People hate me for it, but it would get rid of Trump, so you shouldn't hate me for it.
I mean, recessions are really bad. People lose their jobs and their homes, and we shouldn't wish
it's worth it. That's going to make it tough.
Recession happens, Trump loses. I mean, I think that's what I was. That was my point. Happens, Trump loses.
There you go.
Oh, let's have a recession. Let's talk down the economy because Mueller didn't work. Our own Pete Hegseth may have summed it up best, tweeting, quote, first it was Russia, 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 racism, 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 recession, 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 stormy, stormy, collusion, collusion, impeach, impeach, same thing, manufactured crisis, manufactured crisis. In this program, we are committed to exposing all of the media conspiracy theories, lies, every hoax, every besmirchment that they tell the American people to divide this country. Real conservatives, they deplore racism. From the person that has done more for the employment situation for minorities in America, the policies that have worked best are the policies of Donald J. Trump. Fact. Maybe they should put that in their paper one day. The collusion, delusion, Covington. Look what they did to that kid, Nicholas Sandmann. Look what they did to Justice Kavanaugh. Look at the lies that there's still presidential candidates passing on the conspiracy theory over Ferguson. Ignoring the biggest abuse of power corruption scandal in our nation's history. They have chosen to act as nothing but partisan activists, state-run Democratic, radical, socialist, extremist TV, radio, and, print, instead of being serious investigators. They've chosen to put fake news, fake narratives, conspiracy theories over facts, and chosen to attack anyone who will dare to call out their lack of ethics and objectivity. We'll continue to give you a front row seat to all of this corruption in the media. We will hold them accountable. We'll continue to expose them, but frankly, they expose themselves. Joining us now with more, Fox News contributor Sarah Carter, author of Swamp Wars, conservative columnist Jeffrey Lord. Sarah, for 2.5 years, we've had an ensemble cast. Both you and Jeff have been a part of it. Greg, John Solomon, Victoria Tunsing, Joe DeGeneva, Judge Pirro. We have told the American people the truth. Within the next 2 months, I'm pretty confident we're going to be proven right on a level that might take away the breath of the American people and shock the conscience. But these lies get told, they don't apologize, they don't revise and extend, they don't make a correction or apology. They just go to the next thing, and they're telegraphing it.
Sean, it's actually shocking to me. I remember when I first started as a young reporter at the Daily Bulletin in California, the first thing my editor said is, you don't shape a narrative. You let the story come to you. As an investigator, you go out, you see it, you collect the evidence, and then you report it to the American people or to the local community that I was covering. And when you see what the New York Times has done, this is the reason why. They didn't want to know the truth, Sean. The New York Times did not want to know the truth because had they wanted to know the truth, they would have been right there with us all along, uncovering the same information that we uncovered throughout the last 2.5 years on your show. That is John Solomon and I and others who have been reporting on this, what Devin Nunes discovered, what Lindsey Graham discovered. The New York Times would have been there, but they wanted to shape the narrative. And I'm going to tell you what's absolutely frightening right now. What really is stunning is that they're going to try to shape the narrative on racism. This is extraordinarily dangerous, particularly coming from the New York Times that ran an anti-Semitic cartoon globally with President Trump and Netanyahu. They actually had to end their cartoons in their newspaper because of this. Now they're going to try to shape this racist agenda. And I want the American people to realize that this is absolutely wrong. This is backwards. The executive editor should be ashamed, should be fired from the New York Times. And we should get back to reporting real stories and letting the American people see what the evidence is.
It's not going to happen.
Well,
and Jeff, you worked for the Reagan administration. If you say you are a conservative and you're a white supremacist or a racist, nobody that I know in mainstream conservatism supports you. Period. End of sentence. This is a big lie. It used to be every 2 and 4 years. Now it's every day.
That's right. Sean, what the New York Times is engaged in is the Stalinizing of American history. You know, you've talked about this. This is something Rush Limbaugh has talked about for years, of the left wanting to do a total rewrite of American history and remake the story that we're founded in racism and it's all about race, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, wait a minute. Where was the Democratic Party? Where were they in the 64
Exactly,
Civil Rights
Sean.
Act, Voting Rights Act in 65? Where were they?
Exactly, Sean. And it's very interesting. I've read the New York Times pieces, their so-called 1619 project. There isn't a solitary mention that slavery and segregation were the party of Democrats.
I got to go, but I'll say this. Imagine if Donald Trump said that the former Klansman KKK Byrd was his mentor, or J. William Fulbright was his mentor, like Hillary and Bill did.